All right, so I'm going to try to get back more to my content that I used to do, which is just like live coding and solving problems on my channel. So we're going to be trying to add a feature to my course platform. I haven't really gotten around to doing live streamings about this, but I'm just going to try to work on a feature and just do like a 30-minute cutoff time limit. If I don't finish in 30 minutes, I'll just have to continue on another video. So what I want to do is I think the last thing we added in this project is the ability to create sections. So you can like create a section and you can add a video to this section. So if I were to add like another section here and go ahead and select a video and click create section, I now have two sections, and it'd be nice if the user could order these, right? So I can move this one to be higher priority than the testing one. So that's what we're going to try to solve today live on this this video, and hopefully we can figure it out in 30 minutes. So the first thing I think I would probably do is we need to keep track of the order of the records. Okay, so for example, this testing could be an order of 0. Another section could be an order of 1. That's the first approach that kind of comes to my head. So let's first change the schema in Prisma so that we can actually allow for that. So over here we have sections. This is our section model. And I think I could just add an order and make it an integer like this. And I think that might be all we really need to do. We could default it probably and say default it to be like, I'm going to default it to be a high number so that it's always at the bottom of the list when you create a section. I don't know if 1,000 is enough, but hopefully it's good. So what we're going to do is we'll do npx prisma db push, and that'll push that change to our locally running DB that's running in Docker. And now when I hopefully get the data back, we should get the order. Okay, so I might have to restart my server real quick. And I just stopped Docker on accident, so that was not the right one. One thing you should really do when you're building on larger projects is name your tabs. So this will be like Docker. So I don't accidentally like close that again. This one can be Prisma. And this one I'm going to rename to like next. Okay, so if I ever need to go and find my next server and restart it, I click on the correct tab and I don't make that mistake. Okay, so at this point, we should get the order back in the UI. So if I go to the page where this is displayed, courses ID, so courses ID, here we go. I think this is the right page. Somewhere here in this almost 300 lined file, we should be able to find the sections, okay? And I believe the sections happen wherever we do a dot map. So let's look for that dot map, and here it is. Command F is your best friend when you're searching large files. So we have this course data right here that has all the sections. It would make sense to pull this out to be like a derived React value. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. I'm going to pull this up here, and let's make sure this is a good place to put it. I think it is. So I'll just say like const sorted sections is equal to this. And we're going to go ahead and just make sure that if this thing is undefined, we're going to default it to an empty array. And it's always good to make small little modifications in your code base and then save it and then go back to your app, make sure you didn't break something. Okay, I just made like a single line change, maybe 2-line change, go back and make sure you didn't break everything. Seems good. So now what I want to do is I'm going to wrap this thing and I'm going to go ahead and sort this in the UI. Technically, we could sort this from the back end, but I do think in the front end, we're going to have a lot of mechanisms, I guess, to kind of sort the sections manually. So I think sorting in the UI makes a little bit more sense when the data comes in. So we can say sort, and I'll say section. I think the sort takes in an A and a B. So let me just rename those to A and B. And we can say return A dot order. There we go. B dot order. Now I think that'll sort it in ascending order, which is what we want. And you can clean this up by removing the return like this if you really want to. Sometimes I just keep it in because it just makes it easier to like come in and add console logs later, but I think that's good. So again, we want to start with a data-driven approach. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up Prisma Studio, which I think should be localhost 5000 or 5555 or something. Don't know why my computer's a little sluggish right now, but it is, we have users here. So let's go ahead and discard those changes and let's find, I'm not sure why section's not showing up. So what we might need to do is go to a new terminal and say Docker compose, and then I don't know what we called it. We have a Docker compose file here. So let's go ahead and open this up and go to the Docker compose. We should have a studio, Prisma Studio set up. We do. So I'm going to go ahead and say Docker compose. I think it's reload Prisma Studio. No? Maybe it's stop. Okay, so now it's stopped. Let's try doing a start. Sometimes like you have to restart Prisma Studio for it to see your database changes. Okay, that didn't work. Let me try to stopping it. Let me try something else. I'm going to do Docker compose up, and then I will say -- build, I believe it is. That should hopefully rebuild my container. I think for some reason it had some stale things in it. This is one thing I really do not like about Prisma. It's like you have to restart a lot of stuff. When you change your schema, you like have to restart your studio. You got to restart your next app. It's just a terrible developer experience. I'm also kind of second guessing my idea of putting the studio inside of this Docker compose because it seems like it's a lot of extra overhead just to have to like restart this thing. And then I'm going to say npx Prisma Studio. Probably should have done that from the get-go instead of wasting my time. All right, so you know what? I'm actually just going to delete this from here. Like, let's just not run Prisma Studio inside this container because obviously it's just not that great of an experience. Okay. Hopefully you guys aren't too lost. I've been jumping around. But now we have the sections here. The only reason I was doing this is I just want to reorder this a little bit. So if I want to make another section pop up to the top, I'm going to give this an order of, we'll say 50. Go ahead and save that. And I want to make sure if I were to, oh, it popped up to the top, right? So because we're using a React query, it's going to refetch the data when you focus the page. All right, so now that we kind of verified that the ordering does change the UI properly, I'm trying to think, is this actually a good approach of how we're doing the order? Maybe we should do an auto-incrementing field. So as you create new sections, it'll get a higher number. So again, let's just try going to the Prisma, and I'm going to go ahead and just find how to do auto-incrementing. I don't even remember. It's like, let's go to ChatGPT and see if this can help us. I'm going to say, make the order auto-increment in this Prisma model. I could probably just go to the docs. I'm just lazy now. Oh, okay. Default auto increment. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to go ahead and just add auto increment here. And I'm going to just run a db push. I'm going to restart next real quick. Restart my Prisma Studio. And we're going to go ahead and just change this to like 1, change this to 2. And we're going to save those changes. And I'm going to go ahead and just try to create one more. I'll say like 3rd, and I'll make a video. Click create section. That should create the section. I don't know why I did a full page refresh. I might have to look into that. That's kind of weird. But let's see what ID it gave it. So if I refresh this, it gave it a 1 for some reason. Probably, so that's probably because I created the other ones like without the proper ordering. So I'm just going to delete everything. Delete all 3, and we'll try it again. I'll just go ahead and say like A, that'll be a video here. I'll do B, that'll be a video. And we'll do C, that could be a video. Okay, refresh this page. We get 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it seems like it's in the correct auto-incrementing order. And if you were to delete one, I think it would just like add another one. Now the real question is, are you able to just swap these? As long as you don't like add in a new record with a higher order, am I able to just swap these with whatever I want? Is that proper? So A should become last here. Yeah, I think that might be proper. So I think what I'm going to do, again, I'm just experimenting. I haven't actually implemented something like this in a real application before. So I'm trying to just learn as, you know, let the solution kind of emerge as I play with the code and stuff. So I'm going to find that delete button, which I don't even know where it is. Is this here, delete? Yeah, here's the delete button. I'm going to add another button. We're going to keep this simple. We could bring in like drag and drop in a little bit and stuff, but I'm going to keep this simple and just add a button called move up. That's it. I just want to move it up. And when you click it, I'm going to make this a color of like white. We don't need confirmations. We don't want to call delete. I'll just go ahead and comment those out real quick. So now we got a move up button. So the idea is like when you click on move up, it needs to basically figure out what the previous one is. So for example, B and C, it just needs to look at the ordering of them and swap them. Okay. So instead of like, maybe I should make a backend endpoint called like swap. And the front end can just tell you like, okay, you want to swap this one with that one. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and call, let's go and figure out where delete section is declared. I think it's declared up here at the top. Somewhere. Here it is. So let's go to the courses router, and we're going to make a new one called swap sections. How about that? And you need to take in a section ID source, section ID target. Okay, so we're trying to swap this one with that one. And we'll give this a Z as string as well. And what we want to do is I guess we can just fetch both of those sections. I'll just say like const section source is equal to this dot section dot find first, or we could do find unique. How about that? Find unique where the ID is equal to section ID source. And by all means, if you have a better solution, if you're like, dude, Cody, this is like the most convoluted solution, leave a comment. Maybe I'll refactor this code. But this is just, again, like what I'm thinking fresh in my head of what a good solution might look like. So let's go ahead and bring in the section target and the idea. We could do error handling later. Like, let's not get too fancy and make a real production ready app. Let's just get this working, get it to work, make it right, make it fast. Is that the saying? Make it work, make it right, make it fast. That's what it is. Okay, so we want to basically update section source here, and we want to change the order. Like say order. Actually, no, I'm not doing this right. I need to actually say context Prisma section.update. I'm going to say where ID. So we want to update the section ID here. And we're going to go ahead and update it with order of section target.order. Does that make sense? Is this potentially null? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add the error handling. We do need this after all, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and just say if there is no source section, we can throw an error. If there is no target section, we can throw an error. The target section does not exist. Okay, and this will be the source section does not exist. Okay. So then our TypeScript is not going to complain at us about that. Okay, so now we're just basically saying take the source section ID and we're going to change the order to point it to what the target section ID was. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to say target section ID is equal to source. What is it called? Section source. Okay, so that should just swap them, right? Like if I think this through clearly, I think this should just swap them. So now we have a method what we can call on the front end, and we're going to go ahead and just call swap sections. We're going to say swap sections, use mutation. All right. And let's find where we call move up. Okay, so Command F is your friend. Type in the text that you think is in the button. And we're going to go ahead and just call swap sections here. And we need to pass in some things. So the first thing we need to pass in is the source section ID, which I don't really like the way I name this. Section ID source. And that's going to be the actual section you have right now that you're clicking the button on. But we also need the section ID target, which we need to figure out how to get that. Okay, so we have to kind of like loop through the array in state and find the previous element. Right, so let's just go ahead and say like const target index is equal to sections dot find. Is it not called sections? Sorted sections dot find and then we're going to say section. Then we need to find, oh wait, what am I doing? We're doing a map here. So on a map, you can actually get the index that you're currently at in this sorted array. So we could potentially just say sorted sections, get the previous one, so the one that's right above us, and we're going to get the ID from that one. Now, the issue is that if we're at index 0, we can't do this. We got to return. Like, don't allow this to happen. And we know that we should be good here. In fact, this whole button, I'm going to say if we're at index equals to 0, then we do not want to even show this move up button, right? Okay, so to make TypeScript happy, do I just put in an at the forbidden non-null assertion? How do I make TypeScript happy in this instance? I'm going to say target section is equal to this. And I'm going to say if there is no target section, return. Maybe that'll make it happy. Okay, there we go. And then we could potentially just refetch the course. Maybe we need to refetch the sections. Where's this? Did we fetch the sections anywhere? Is there a query? Oh, I think the course query returns the nested section, so I think we might be good. So Command F, move up. Let's save this. Let's see what happens. No promises. I do have it backwards though, because the move up button was not supposed to show for the first one. It was supposed to show for the ones that are greater than or equal to, or yeah, just greater than a 1. I can't speak. Greater than 0. Only show this button if it's greater than 0. So moment of truth. If we click move up, that should hopefully move this thing up. There you have it. It did it. And I can keep on doing it. It just swaps them. All right. So let's test this with A. I'll move that one up. And move C down. Move A up again. Pretty cool, huh? So let's go and we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do a move down button. I got some time left. It hasn't been 30 minutes yet. I'm going to go ahead and say if we are less than sorted sections.length -1, then we're going to go ahead and show a move down button. And then what we want to do is we're going to do the same logic, but we're going to increment by 1. And then I think everything else should be good. Let's think about this. If the index is less than or equal to the first section. Yeah, let's try it. Now, I think there might be some issues with, like, if you only have one section. Let's just move down and see what happens. So did that move C down? Yeah, there we have it. I wish I named them better than A, B, and C. Let's change these to like introduction. We're going to name this one how to loop, how to JavaScript. Okay, so now we have, oh wait, how to JavaScript. Not sure what that one then is save. Let's save that, go back. So we got introduction, how to loop, how to JavaScript. So now we can actually like see these clearly. If I move these up, very top. Yeah. And like always, just go ahead and throw in some more data just to make sure this stuff actually works. That gets added to the bottom. That's good. We can move it up. That's good. Let's move introduction all the way to the top. Awesome. Now, I don't know if there's a real use case for like moving these things around, but I do foresee like you like delete a section and you want to replace it with something, you might want to do that. So you might say, okay, this is kind of a bad user experience. And it kind of is. I mean, like it'd be better if we can drag and drop this stuff, but I'm not there yet. So just baby steps. Just try to get the stuff working with baby steps. This is a step in the right direction, but it's not the most optimal, but I think it's good. So I'm going to go ahead and commit this to my repo. So let's just go ahead and say adding the ability to order the sections of a course. And commit this, push it up there. And now anyone who's watching this video could go and look at the code that I wrote. I'm happy with this. I'm pretty happy with this. So stay tuned for the next part of this video. I feel like I kind of drifted away from like just, teaching and doing live content, that I want to get back to it. I miss it. I think it's fun. And I think it kind of gives the most benefits for people trying to learn how to problem solve and do stuff. So that's it. That's a wrap. So if you want to join my Discord, feel free to click the link in the description below. And other than that, have a good day and happy coding.